You wake up to a bank alert. $100,000 has been deposited into your account. No lottery, no inheritance, no explanation. For 30 days, you finally live the life you've always dreamed about. You stop checking prices. You stop worrying about bills. You finally feel rich. Then, one morning, you open your banking app again. $17.42. Nothing was stolen. Nobody hacked you. You made one mistake. The same mistake that quietly keeps millions of people poor for the rest of their lives. The question is, have you already made it too? Enough. You stare at your phone. The number refuses to change. $100,000. For years you've imagined this exact moment. You refresh the app again. Still there. A laugh escapes your mouth. For the first time in years, your shoulders relax. You aren't thinking about rent. You aren't calculating grocery prices. You aren't wondering whether your card will decline. You simply breathe. Freedom has a strange feeling. It isn't loud. It's quiet. Later that afternoon, you walk past a luxury car dealership. Normally, you'd slow down, admire the cars through the glass, then keep walking. Today, you walk inside. The salesman greets you with the biggest smile you've ever received. He doesn't know your name. He only recognizes possibility. You sit behind the wheel of a beautiful sports car. The leather smells new. The dashboard glows. You close your eyes for a second. "This is the life I was meant to have," you whisper. Driving home, another thought follows. "I've struggled long enough. I deserve this." Maybe you do. But there's a dangerous difference between deserving something and being able to keep it. That night, you celebrate. An expensive dinner, a hotel with a skyline view, the best bottle on the menu. Your friends raise their glasses. You finally made it. You smile. Maybe they're right. Maybe your life has changed forever. Or maybe it's only beginning to reveal who you've always been. The following weeks feel effortless. You replace your old phone, buy new clothes, upgrade your apartment. Premium coffee becomes your morning routine. Ride sharing replaces walking. Food delivery replaces cooking. None of the purchases seem irresponsible. Each one feels small compared to $100,000. You stop asking, "Can I afford this?" Instead, you begin asking, "Why not?" It's only another $50, only another $100, only another upgrade. Money still fills your account. So your brain quietly changes its definition of normal. Comfort becomes ordinary. Luxury becomes expected. Without realizing it, your lifestyle begins growing faster than your wealth. 3 weeks later, your friend Marcus visits your new apartment. He slowly looks around. "This place is incredible," you grin. "It feels good not having to worry anymore." Marcus nods. Then he asks one simple question. "So, how much do you have left?" You laugh. "Plenty." You reach for your phone. You expect the balance to look almost the same. Instead, your smile disappears. The number is much smaller than you remember, not because of one huge purchase, because of hundreds of tiny ones. Streaming subscriptions, food delivery, convenience fees, impulse shopping, weekend trips, premium memberships. Nothing looked dangerous on its own. Together, they quietly emptied your future. Marcus notices your silence. "You okay?" You force a smile. "Yeah," but your stomach says otherwise. That night, sleep refuses to come. You lie awake staring into the darkness. Your mind keeps replaying every purchase, the expensive dinner, the designer jacket, the latest gadgets. None of them seemed like mistakes, but together, they formed a habit. You suddenly realize something terrifying. Money rarely disappears all at once. It leaves quietly, one small decision at a time, like water dripping from a pipe. One drop seems harmless. 1,000 drops become a flood. You open your banking app one more time. The glowing number feels different now. Not comforting, fragile. For the first time since the money arrived, you feel fear. Not because you're poor, because you suddenly understand how easy it is to become poor again. You sit up. A question enters your mind that refuses to leave. If money disappears this easily, how do some people stay rich for decades? That question follows you into the next morning, and without realizing it, it becomes the most valuable thing you've gained since the money arrived. The question that changes everything. The next morning, you leave your apartment with one question echoing in your mind. How do some people stay rich for decades? You don't go shopping. You don't meet friends. Instead, you wander into a small cafe you've never noticed before. It isn't fancy. No expensive decorations. No music trying to impress anyone. Just quiet conversations and the smell of fresh coffee. You order the cheapest drink on the menu. As you sit down, an older man at the next table glances at your phone. "You've been staring at that screen for 5 minutes," he says with a smile. "You looking for something?" You hesitate before answering. "I'm trying to figure out where my money went." He chuckles softly. "That's a better question than most people ever ask." You raise an eyebrow. "What do you mean?" He points to your expensive watch. "Most people only notice money when it arrives. They rarely notice how it leaves." His words hit harder than you expect. You tell him about the mysterious deposit, about the excitement, about the spending, about the shrinking balance. When you finish, he doesn't judge you. He simply asks one question. "How much of your money works while you sleep?" You blink. "I don't understand." He reaches for a sugar packet and places it on the table. "If this were $1, he says, would you spend it once? Or would you teach it to come back with friends?" You stare at the packet. Suddenly money looks different, not like something to use, like something to train. The old man smiles. The wealthy don't see dollars. They see employees. Every dollar has a job. The question is, did you give yours one? The mistake nobody talks about. Those words refuse to leave your mind. Over the next few weeks, you begin reading books about money, listening to investors, watching interviews with entrepreneurs. You expect them to reveal complicated strategies. Instead, they keep repeating surprisingly simple ideas. Spend less than you earn. Buy assets. Think long-term. At first, you're disappointed. Surely it can't be that simple. Then you begin noticing something. Every advertisement tells you to spend. Every influencer encourages upgrades. Every social media post convinces you that someone else is living better than you. The world constantly teaches you how to consume. Almost nobody teaches you how to build. One evening, you sit in your apartment looking around the room. The television, the speakers, the designer shoes, the expensive furniture. Each item once made your heart race. Now, they're just objects. The excitement disappeared. The payments remained. You realize something uncomfortable. You weren't buying happiness. You were renting excitement. And every purchase demanded another one to replace it. That's when the real mistake becomes clear. It wasn't earning too little. It wasn't choosing the wrong job. It wasn't bad luck. The mistake was believing that a bigger income automatically creates wealth. It doesn't. Income creates opportunity. Habits decide what happens next. Without discipline, even a fortune quietly disappears. Hiring your first employee. The next payday feels different. You almost buy the luxury watch you've wanted for months. Instead, you stop. You remember the old man's words. Teach your money to come back with friends. So you make a different decision. You buy your first investment. It's small, almost disappointingly small. Nobody congratulates you. Nobody notices. It isn't exciting enough to post online. Weeks pass, then one morning, your phone buzzes. A small payment has arrived, just a few dollars. You laugh. That's it? It feels insignificant. You could have earned more by working an extra hour. For a moment, you wonder if you've made another mistake. Then you remember something. You didn't work for those dollars. A decision you made weeks ago did. The following month, another payment arrives, then another. Still small, still unimpressive, but now you begin to understand. Money isn't powerful because of how much you have. It's powerful because of what it continues doing after you've stopped working. You buy another investment, then another. Months pass, your spending slows, your confidence grows. Marcus notices the change. "I thought you were buying that sports car." You smile. "I almost did." "So why didn't you?" You look out the cafe window before answering. "Because I realized I wanted freedom more than attention." Marcus laughs. "I don't think most people would choose that." You nod slowly. "I know." And that's exactly why most people stay trapped. For the first time in your life, you stop asking, "What can my money buy?" Instead, you ask, "What can my money become?" That single question quietly changes everything. The two versions of you. A few years pass. Nothing dramatic happens overnight. There isn't a viral business, no winning lottery ticket, no miracle investment. Just hundreds of quiet decisions repeating themselves day after day. One evening, you stop outside a glass office building. Your reflection stares back at you. For a moment, you imagine two versions of yourself. The first version followed the path you almost chose. A luxury car sits in the driveway. Designer clothes fill the closet. The newest phone rests in his pocket. From the outside, he looks successful. Everyone admires him. Everyone wants his life. But when you look closer, you notice something hidden beneath the surface. Every paycheck is already spoken for. The mortgage, the car payment, the credit cards, the subscriptions, the pressure. He earns more than ever, yet sleeps less than ever. Then you look at the second version, the one standing beside you. The clothes are simpler. The car is reliable instead of impressive. Nobody stops to admire it, but something else catches your attention. Peace. Bills no longer create panic. Unexpected expenses no longer destroy entire months. Money quietly arrives from decisions made years ago. The biggest difference isn't income, it's ownership. One version spent years buying things that lost value. The other spent years buying things that created value. You suddenly understand something that schools rarely teach. Looking rich and becoming wealthy are completely different games. One is performed for strangers. The other is built for your future. The invisible prison. From that day forward, you begin noticing things most people never see. A coworker proudly shows everyone his brand new luxury SUV. Everyone applauds. Nobody asks how many years he'll spend paying for it. Another friend upgrades to the newest phone. It's only a small monthly payment, she says. You smile politely, because you remember when you used to think exactly the same way. One Saturday afternoon, you walk through a crowded shopping mall. Bright lights flash from every direction. Limited offer. Buy now, don't miss out. People carry shopping bags with huge smiles. For a moment, it looks like happiness. Then you notice something else. Almost everything inside those bags will lose value before the year ends. The excitement will disappear long before the payments do. That's when it finally becomes clear. The greatest prison isn't poverty. It's believing that spending proves success. You remember chasing compliments, buying things you hoped would make people notice you. The compliments lasted minutes. The bills lasted years. You quietly laugh to yourself. Status always asks for more. Freedom quietly asks for patience. One never ends. The other eventually sets you free. One new question. The next morning, you create a simple habit. Before buying anything, you ask yourself one question. Will this make my future easier, or just make today more exciting? At first, the question feels uncomfortable. Then it begins changing everything. Impulse purchases become easier to resist, not because you can't afford them, because you understand what they truly cost. $1,000 purchase is no longer just $1,000. It's the years of growth you gave away. Every dollar suddenly has two choices: leave forever, or return with more. You still enjoy life, you still travel, you still celebrate milestones, but your money finally has direction. Every paycheck arrives with a purpose before temptation can give it one. Slowly, your investments begin paying small bills, then larger ones. Eventually, they begin paying for time to rest, time with family, time to choose work instead of needing it. That's when you realize money was never the goal. Freedom was, money was simply the tool. The one mistake that keeps people poor forever. Years later, someone asks you a question you've heard many times. What's the biggest financial mistake people make? You pause. Your mind drifts back to that mysterious morning, the bank alert, the excitement, the spending, the fear, then the old man in the cafe. You smile before answering. The biggest mistake isn't earning too little. It isn't choosing the wrong career. It isn't missing the perfect investment. It's believing that money exists to be spent instead of employed. The person looks confused, so you continue. Every dollar is like a worker. You can send it away forever, or you can give it a job that brings more workers back. Most people spend their lives chasing bigger paychecks. Very few spend time building better habits. That's why two people earning exactly the same salary can end up living completely different lives. One becomes trapped by lifestyle, the other becomes protected by discipline. The difference isn't luck. The difference is the decisions nobody applauds, the dinner you decided not to order, the impulse purchase you walked away from, the investment you made instead, the years of patience nobody noticed. You realize wealth is built long before it becomes visible. Just like a tree spends years growing underground before anyone admires its height. You look toward the future with a quiet confidence, not because you're certain nothing will ever go wrong, but because you've learned something far more valuable than how to make money. You've learned how to keep it, The evening sun begins to set. You pass the same luxury dealership where this journey started. A newer car sits behind the glass. Years ago, you would have walked inside without hesitation. Today, you simply smile and keep walking. Not because you can't afford it, but because you finally understand something that once seemed impossible. The richest person isn't the one who owns the most things. It's the one who owns the most choices. The one mistake that keeps people poor forever isn't having too little money. It's giving every dollar a temporary purpose instead of a permanent one. Because every dollar you spend writes your future, one decision at a time.